because that's what the ADs are for, and that's what I'll let them worry about that. I'm concerned with beating Georgia Tech Labor Day night because that's what I can control. I don't control any of the rest of that stuff. And then, quite frankly, 10 years from now, you're going to forget you asked that question. That question will be so far gone because you look at the amount of things that have happened in the last 12 months, 10 years. Holy moly, I can only imagine where we're going to be in college football.
Do you think it's fair that you made 6 straight CMPs and made $36 million and fill in the blank, the other 13 schools got the same cut of the pie?
Yeah, well, that's kind of been, the way of the world in this league for a long time. And certainly, the commissioner, the ADs, the presidents, they're always talking about different ways to, increase revenue. So, I know that's one of the things that they're always looking at, and maybe having some type of a minimum investment in football and things like that. But again, we have resources at Clemson. We're fortunate that we've got great resources, and we've all benefited from each other throughout this league for a long time. Now, does that model need to change depending on the landscape of what's coming, or where we are, or projections or speculation? Maybe, but again, that won't be the coaches talking about that. That'll be a question for President Clements and the ADs and Jim Phillips.
How much do they kind of keep you looped in as far as the conversations that have been, I guess, with the ACC and I guess throughout college football?
Well, they keep me very looped in. We're a very connected group at Clemson. We talk all the time and communicate, and they definitely keep me up to date on what's going on.
They said Clemson supporters who kind of are desperate to get out and seek refuge in the SEC. Heard that chatter.
I would just say, bloom where you're planted. That's what I've always said. People come to Clemson because we're Clemson. And, again, I said earlier, Cade Klubnik came from Austin, Texas to South Carolina because that's where Clemson is. He didn't come for any other reason. And DJ came from California because that's where Clemson is located. All right, Trevor came because that's where Clemson is. It always comes back to the program and the people and the culture of the place and those type of things. And that's what's drawn people to Clemson. It's not been, a revenue stream or a TV contract or a league we play in or don't play in or any of that stuff. And I think we got a pretty good track record and a pretty good resume of being able to compete with anybody. So my message is, just support Clemson and let it'll all work itself out one way or another. It's like I said, it's all going. I don't know why we just don't go home. We're halfway around there, but it's where we are. And I think most football people, as I said yesterday, know this thing. There needs to be a restructuring in college football. And a whole new governance structure. It's just not feasible anymore. The Power Five have different issues, and there's decisions that need. We have too much bureaucracy, too many layers of stuff to get any simple decision made. And so what that looks like in a few years, I don't know. I just know it's coming because I know there's going to be expansion. There's going to be there's going to be more playoffs, and the TV people got to figure it all out and do what's best for college football. And football's never been a tournament sport. If they want to make it that, well, you can't have 130 teams for one little tournament in football. So we're restructuring. You need all the schools. You need all 130 teams. You got to play each other. You need the group of five. You need everyone. But there needs to be some type of restructuring. And I'd say we're all heading in that direction. But when we get there and speculate when and when we should or what, it's not worth my time.
What's your reaction to the new scheduling format in the ACC, the 3-5-5, and your
Yeah, it's fine. I like it fine. You know, I was a division guy just because I like divisions. I like being able to play for a division championship. I think that's a cool thing, man. You know, to be able to, you know, Narduzzi talked about that. He's like, you know, we didn't win the league back in 18, but that Coastal Division Championship was a big deal for them. You know, kind of a next step in recruiting and so forth. And you know, that kind of all goes away, but. I mean, it is what it is. I get this too, and I do think it's great for the fans. It addresses some of the issues that you had with the divisions because, as you know, because conferences have grown, you know, and now you got kids that'll come to Clemson, for example, not play ever a certain school or play somewhere. This allows everyone to get everywhere, home and home, you know, at least twice in their career, and so. You know, I think it was a reasonable change and something that'll probably be, you know, fun, you know, for the fans. I do know there's some complications with some natural rivalries and things like that, but I think they tried to do a good job of addressing it and having some competitive balance to go along with it.
Coach, you talked about last year living up to your own standards, but there's something to be said, I think, about the other teams, Pitts and Wake Forest is raising theirs.
Yeah.
Tell me about the compete level of the conference, how you've seen it grown over this last 5 years or so.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that I had with last year is everybody just wanted to talk about what Clemson didn't do. Nobody wanted to talk about, you know, Georgia was pretty good. You know, they didn't score on us, and they won the national championship. And nobody wants to talk about NC State. Like, they want to talk about, well, Clemson, they're bad. They're like, well, how about we say NC State was pretty freaking good? They had a really good team. And it was a double overtime loss at their place, and they're a great quarterback. I mean, they're a good team, well coached. And you know, same thing with, I mean, they got Kenny Pickett. They got that gum wide out. They got a great team. I mean, nobody wants to give them any credit. It's like, well, you know, they're not good. Clemson's just bad. And that's just not accurate. And that's disappointing, you know. So I appreciate that question. And Georgia was a great team. They were a champion. Pitt was a great team. They were a champion. You know, NC State, man, they had a heck of a year and came up just short of winning the Atlantic. So, you know, those are really good teams. So, yeah, I mean, we'd like to be undefeated every year. It's probably not going to happen. So we were the first 15-0 team ever. There's a reason for that. It's hard to do.
Yeah, so as somebody who plays receiver, what are your thoughts on the new restrictions on cut blocking out wide?
I don't like it. As a receiver guy my whole life, I don't think it's healthy for the receivers. I think it puts them at a real injury disadvantage. I'm totally against the cut blocking, but not being able to cut a guy head up who's running downhill at you, a 240-pound linebacker, and you're trying to block on a screen and you have no threat of being able to cut him, I don't think that's healthy for that 180-pound wideout. So it should be the same thing as a running back, not being able to cut in the backfield. And here comes that linebacker downhill, and you can't cut the backer, and they know that, so they just bull you. As opposed when they know that you can cut them, slows them down. It's not as big a collision, and so forth. And so that's the one part of it. I love everything about the rule, but that's the one part of it as a guy who played the position and a guy who's coached it my whole career that I don't like, because it really puts you at a disadvantage, because now a DB knows he can run full speed, full 100 miles an hour from 10 yards away and run right through you. But when they know that you could cut them head up, you don't see that. And so it's going to create some really big collisions for the wideout.
Do you have to change how you play the screens?
I just think we've got to change how we block it, and how our approach to it. Maybe where the halo point is, where the contact zone's going to be, those type of things. But it'll be different, because again, if I'm coaching defense, I got a big dude out there, whether it be a safety or whoever, I'm gonna blow it up, because if they cut you, it's a penalty.
Coach, let me ask you this. You talked in the press conference about how you and Coach Elliott had kind of knew that Virginia was the right place for him. Could you elaborate on that? And what advice did you give Coach Elliott as he headed to Virginia? Well,
the biggest thing is from the right fit. It just, I really like Carla, first of all. I mean, she is great. The AD there, she's very smart, very sharp, and I think she's a great fit for Tony. The other thing is Tony, he's a 3.8, 3.9 engineering grad from Clemson. He's very, very smart. And obviously, Virginia is a high academic institution. I think he fits that culture well. And then the community, I think it was a good fit for him community-wise for Tamika and Ace and AJ, his two boys. So, I just felt like it aligned with the things, and then also where they are as a program and what I think he can bring to them. He knows this league well, so I just thought it was a really good fit from that standpoint. And then what was the other part of your question?
Any advice that you gave?
Oh, yeah, advice. I just be him, to be Tony. The same things that made him successful as a player, same things that made him successful as an assistant, same thing that made him successful as an offensive coordinator. Those are going to be the same things that are going to make him a good head coach, and that is just being genuine, communicate, trust your instincts, demand excellence, and just, again, take a lot of notes, learn to say no, and a few other things I won't share.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.